Mr. Speaker, it's a privilege for me to introduce my old seatmate, a.k.a. Rico Suave, Raul Labrador.
Would you escort the congressman? Congressman, it is a pleasure for us to welcome you back to the House of Representatives. You know, there's an old saying that when a member leaves here and goes to the Senate, it improves the IQ of both bodies. I think the same could probably be said for leaving this body and going to Congress. we are proud of you, and we look forward to hearing your remarks.
Thank you. I still get no respect, right? Mr. Speaker, leaders on both sides of the aisle, former colleagues, but most importantly, and I mean this from my heart, friends. Thank you for such a warm welcome. It is truly a pleasure to be with you again today, to be home. I have to be honest, after seeing what's happening in Wisconsin and Indiana, I'm pretty glad that we didn't have to send out the state troopers across state lines to bring you here to listen to me today. In all seriousness, I am honored that you're here, and I'm thankful for what you do in your service to the state of Idaho. I understand as well as anyone that public service is a difficult lifestyle, and it is a lifestyle. You take time away from your work, businesses, farms, ranches, and families in order to make Idaho a better place for everyone. But I also understand how rewarding the job can be. I actually miss serving in the legislature. My 4 years serving with you were some of the best years of my life. This is where I cut my teeth, and I learned how to be a legislator and how to serve those I represent. I learned this from many of you here today, and some who are no longer here with you. For this, I will always be grateful. I am humbled to be one of your representatives in Congress, and I have to give you the good news that since taking office, I have been very fortunate to develop a great working relationship with the rest of the congressional delegation. Senators Crapo and Rich and Congressman Simpson have been incredibly supportive and helpful to me in my first few months in Congress. Their leadership is enabling me to better serve you and everyone in Idaho. After just 2 months serving in the U.S. House, my appreciation for your efforts has only grown. Many of the issues facing America as a country are the same issues facing the state and that we have faced here in Idaho. You're on the front lines of these battles, and the ideas that you put forth here and the actions you take embolden us in Washington to make the tough decisions that are necessary to solve our country's problems. In the state legislature, you don't have the luxury of dodging the tough issues. You cannot punt on the hard choices and hope someone else cleans up the mess later on. You do it every day. You have to do it. At the federal level, serious issues such as immigration, overregulation, and irresponsible spending have been affecting the country without any serious reforms for years. No one on either side of the aisle has been willing or able to fix them. Here in Idaho, the governor and you in the legislature have been making hard decisions for more than 2 years. You have cut spending and not raised taxes. Now you're tackling education reform and once again balancing the budget in difficult times. You inspire me and you strengthen me as I face the choices I have to make in Congress. In these first few months of my service in Washington, I hope that you have seen that I have applied the lessons learned from you in my new job. I have begun by taking positions on tough issues and will continue to do so. I want us to make the tough decisions in D.C. that you make here on a daily basis. This starts by asking the difficult questions. We need to examine every program and agency and determine if there is waste, fraud, and abuse. Are taxpayer dollars being spent properly and effectively? Last week, the nation saw new openness and transparency in Congress as we consider the continuing resolution to fund the federal government. There were nearly 600 amendments that were offered by members of both sides of the aisle. I think Representative Becky would have loved that here on the House floor with 600 amendments. It has been said that last week the House debated a wider range of issues in 1 week than it has considered over the last several years combined under both Republican and Democratic leadership. Last week, people were actually staying up on purpose to watch C-SPAN and engrossed in the debate that has been so rare in recent years in Washington. It has been a long time since Americans have had the opportunity to see that kind of debate in Congress on some very difficult issues. But you do that every single day here. You don't shy away from the difficult decisions and the difficult debates. Unlike the Idaho Legislature, the federal government is not bound by a balanced budget requirement. It can and has spent taxpayer dollars recklessly for years. You must stay within your budget. The feds, on the other hand, they can borrow and run up the debt. This is why I ran for Congress. I want to change that, and I think my time serving with you has positioned me to be effective and successful in this fight. If families all across America and if states like Idaho have to live within their means, so should the federal government. Our massive debt is not a Republican or a Democrat problem. It is a national problem. Republicans in Washington cannot simply look at cutting programs that are important to the Democrats. Our budget cannot simply be a political document. It must be a governing document. We must put everything on the table. There cannot be any sacred cows. We need to look at all aspects of federal spending in order to rein it in. We need to look at entitlement spending and speak bluntly and honestly with the American people about the stark choices that we face. But we must also look at our military and homeland security spending. You cannot tell me that there's no fraud, waste, or abuse in those areas. In Congress, we need to be more like our state legislatures. We need to have the difficult conversations like you have every day in order to change the way Washington works. I am a member of a freshman class that will feel very much at home in the Idaho Legislature. With almost half of the freshmen having no elective experience, it more closely resembles this body as citizen legislature than what I was expecting. Perhaps this is why I believe we will be so effective. I am a member of a freshman class that is large as well as determined, and in which every individual I have met is living in reality. A freshman class filled with men and women from all walks of life, real life. A freshman class that is not only living in the reality that is America today, but a freshman class that is willing to face reality. Congress as a whole is now acting on what we here in Idaho have known for a long time. We are broke, and if we don't radically decrease our borrowing and spending, we will go bankrupt. The reality is Congress must become responsible again and allow the states to find their own solutions to the many problems that we face. Idaho has tremendous natural resources and talented people who can manage these resources at the state level. You know it, and I know it, and Congress must finally recognize it. You should have control over managing our resources because only you know what is best for those you represent. Reducing the impact of the federal government in Idaho goes hand in hand with reducing the immense level of wasteful federal spending that are obvious to all of us. This simply must happen. America cannot afford any more patience and inaction from Congress, but I don't think America will have to wait much longer. Let me be clear. I am positive we will overcome today's challenges. The time is at hand when new leaders in Congress will discard the waste of the past and put our nation on the correct path. The burden of crushing debt on our children and grandchildren will not disappear overnight, but at least they will be able to look back at our efforts in Congress and see that it was now that determined men and women started the process of saving our great nation's future. Thank you for your leadership in this great state. May God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the beautiful state of Idaho. Thank you.